What do you get if you cross an action figure with Bruce Wayne and Gene Simmons? You get these ridiculously cool Dark Knight's Death Metal Batman and King Robin figures from McFarlane Toys. Let's check them out. So as some of you might know, I am not the biggest DC Comics fan. However, I am a huge metal fan. So when I saw these figures of Dark Knight's Death Metal Batman and Dark Knight's Death Metal King Robin, there's a couple others in the wave too. I had to pick them up and check them out. So let's have a quick look at the packaging first. And when we do that, we can see they're in the classic DC Multiverse McFarlane Toys boxes. The blue and black boxes that basically every single DC Multiverse figure comes in. And there's not really much more to see there apart from the figures looking absolutely awesome inside the box, right? The packaging for this line, I've always thought is a little bit underwhelming and it just looks very plain, but the figures inside definitely don't. On the back of the packaging, there's the cool artwork, which has got some like figure photography of each figure on there. You've got Batman with the guitar and an amp behind him, and you've got Robin King out in the forest somewhere standing on a rock. And we will get to look at that artwork a little bit more closely when we open them up, because there's a trading card of each one of those pictures inside the packages. So what are we waiting for? Let's open it up and have a look at the most metal action figures I've possibly ever seen. Okay, so there is Metallica action figures out there and Rob Zombie action figures out there and various others, Kiss. There's a Danny Filth one coming from Cradle of Filth, but these are pretty goddamn metal, right? And here they are out of the box. Don't they look amazing? I think actually, at first glance, Robin might be my favorite. I kind of just bought him to go along with the Batman, but looking at the actual figure in person, it looks absolutely amazing. I think it looks sick. So let's start with Robin anyway and just quickly go over some of the things that it comes with. It comes with this trading card. This one shows the super cool figure photography of Robin out in the forest with trees and rocks and stuff like that. And on the back of the card, it has what you would expect, right? Some statistics and a bit of a description of the character and how he came about. You also get two extra hands. You get a kind of grippy, pointy, triggery finger left hand. That's definitely a right hand actually. And you get like a fist making left hand. That one's definitely the left hand this time. And as you get with most of the McFarlane action figures nowadays, they come with a nice big stand to stand the figure on. And for Robin, that might be really useful, because I found he was really hard to stand up. There's a lot of wobbling going on there. It doesn't take a lot to knock him over. I think it's to do with the legs. Like, he's got these spindly weird legs, and one thing I've noticed is there's no thigh cut, so you've only got this much rotation in the leg before. If you twist it anymore, it actually just pops off. And once you put it back on, there's no boot cut and there's no thigh cut, so the only real articulation you've got is in the actual knee. The knee twists. That restricts you from bending it as well, but it kind of just makes this weird, disjointed, weird looking thing going on. So it makes him quite hard to stand. It's almost like he's got two left feet or something. It's just weird. The ball joint on the foot is kind of in the wrong place, kind of at an angle, so I need to fiddle with that to get it back central. Small complaints about the weird articulation aside, look at this guy. Look at this guy. How amazing. He's got that super cool crown. The face sculpt is just ridiculous. Like, the paint on that mouth, the teeth and the lips is just stunning. Like, this is what I love about McFarlane. I kind of wish McFarlane made action figures for other franchises apart from DC. I mean, they do, but you know, like your Star Wars and your Marvel and all that kind of stuff. If you're using an action figure as like a statue or a display piece, I don't think anything tops the sculpt on a McFarlane figure. Like, that face is crazy. You've got these cool feathery shoulder pads and like a ruff, which is amazingly painted. It's green with the purpley coloured tips. He's got the like Scott Steiner chainmail thing going on his head, which again just looks amazingly detailed. The creases and every little bit in the cape, like literally the detail is amazing. Just everything about it. Like, I think where it comes unstuck a little bit is, I mean, when you look at the paintwork on the face and the head and this ruff around his neck with the purple accents and stuff, I think it falls apart a little bit on the boots. Like, they're just black. Maybe we could have had some silver buckles or something on there to make it, I don't know, just give it a bit more depth. It's just plain black plastic boots. It does have the toe articulation, which I always love and makes for some cool posing. And I think the same thing applies to the hands. Like, these gauntlets could just use a little bit of paint or something, just to, like, the detail of the sculpt there is just amazing. Like, look at all the detail in there. There's like this veiny, cool looking pattern going on, which carries on into the gloves as well. But it's just green. I think a little bit of dry brushing or highlighting or something on there, or some sort of wash, would make it look amazing. But that aside, you're not really looking at it that much. Like, if you look at this figure, you are drawn to the face and that crown. Like, it's just absolutely awesome. It looks metal as hell, and I'm sure we can get him into a really cool pose to display him on the shelf. I look at him with them hands. I don't know if I'll use the alternate hands. Like, obviously there's this like triggery hand, but he doesn't really have anything to hold. He doesn't come with anything to hold. But that face sculpt is something to marvel at. Just the detail. I mean, it looks awesome on camera, and it looks even more awesome in real life. Like, the white eyes, I'm amazed how accurate the paintwork is on there. It's just really stunning. And from the waist up, I mean, if you look at him from the waist up, this could be one of the coolest looking action figures that I own. So I'm actually going to use the stand to stand him back up before we move on to Batman, because he doesn't stand up great, but the stand makes a big difference. He ain't going nowhere, so he's going to look sick on your shelf. But let's bring the Batman up close, and it almost looks a little bit underwhelming after that, right? I mean, it isn't. It's still really good. The articulation on this one is better. He has a thigh cut. It's double jointed knees. I'm not going to go ridiculously into every point of articulation, because I just want to show these figures off more than anything. There's plenty of other people out there making videos with showing exactly how far everything moves and bends and all that kind of stuff. How often are you articulating your action figures? I mean, for me, I get it into a pose and I stick it on a shelf, and then I just marvel at it, right? So the Batman face sculpt is still really good. He's got this like kind of stern, angry expression on him, but the paintwork is not as impressive as it is on the Robin. They've tried to give him this like 5 o'clock shadow sort of stubble thing going on his face, which probably doesn't come across great on camera, and it doesn't come across great in real life either, to be completely honest. It just looks a bit dirty, and it looks like the face is smudged a bit. I mean, he's metal, he's supposed to be a bit rough around the edges, you know, but it makes it look like the paint, the way they've done it is just weird. Like, the texture of it mixed with the paint, it just looks like something went wrong. I can't think of any other way to explain it apart from it looks like something went wrong. He's got much better articulation on the head as well, because he doesn't have that big crown chainmail thing going on. He can literally look as far up or down as you would want any action figure to be able to, and he can look down on someone looking super menacing. Like, look at that profile. He looks mad as fuck. But moving on to the rest of the figure, the jacket is glued on. You can't take it off. I mean, you probably can take it off, but it's not a removable piece. It's not supposed to be. That's likely just down to the fact that the arms are molded to look like part of the jacket. So if you take the jacket off, he's just gonna look a bit weird with black arms, right? Again, super crazy detail on all the sculpting. The Batman death metal utility belt, I guess it is super cool. It's made of like a soft plastic. It's quite pliable. And again, like I said, his legs and stuff are much better articulated than the Robin. And I think because they're not so small and spindly, they're much more sort of robust and solid, and he stands way better as well. We've got this cool detail again on the gauntlets, but I think again the same thing applies, right? Like the detail and here on the top half, the face and the chest plate and everything. It's more basic than on the Robin because there's not so many parts, right? It's black and grey. But again, I think it falls apart like on the jacket and on these gauntlets, and again especially on the boots. It just makes the boots, like, they both from the waist up look like a really, they look like a much more expensive action figure or statue, right? But from the waist down they just look a little bit plain. Like, we could have had something on these cool bat shaped knee pads or Again, something on the buckles, on the boots, and just something, just to kind of, you know, like these spikes on his jacket, like surely they're made of metal, right? And yeah, again, like amazing sculpt. There is things they could have done, at least on this jacket, the buckles are a different color. They could have just brushed over the spikes with a bit of silver or something. I'm half tempted to try and paint it myself and make it look even cooler. But I think on a shelf, when you've got a bunch of action figures all lined up on a shelf, they're going to look absolutely awesome. No one's going to pay that much attention to these stupid little nitpicky things that I'm picking out. Some people will complain that this is exactly the same as the previous version of the Dark Knight's Death Metal Batman figure, apart from his accessories, which, if I could stand him up, I say he stands better, and now I've messed around with him and he won't stand, and his legs gone all crooked. Stand up, Batman. You can do this, bro. Like, what kind of superhero can't even stand up? Stand, bro. There we go. But yeah, the accessories that he comes with, of course, he comes with this card, which I think is the most coolest looking figure photography I've ever seen in my life. He's playing the guitar, he's got the amp behind him, and he's got this tiny little microphone and wah pedal and the kind of spiraled cord, like the stage piece. Like, that is some cool figure photography. I want those accessories. Give me those, McFarlane. I'm thinking about it. Maybe these come from some of the Metallica figures, perhaps, or they're probably similar props that they've used. But now I think about it, I seem to remember like Lars coming with some drums and maybe James coming with a pedal or something. Like, I can't remember. I'm gonna have to look that up. But I seem to remember some of these looking things. Like, I don't think anybody came with an amp stack that big, but maybe they have. I'm not sure about that. But the card art looks cool. Again, on the back, you've got Batman stats and descriptions and lore. And then the only other thing that he comes with is the super cool looking guitar, axe, scythe type thing. And it has this awesome, like, screaming head on the top. Again, super cool detailed sculpt and really lackluster paint applications, like maybe a bit of dry brushing over the strings just to bring them out and make them look a bit more metallic. Maybe a little silver edge on this knife or on the scythe, you know? Maybe anything just to kind of make it so it's not just red plastic. Like, it kind of, I know like Dark Knight's Death Metal is like kind of comical in a way, but it just looks, it doesn't look like it's meant to belong together with this Batman. When you put them side by side, it looks like I've taken this from like an old Ghostbusters 1980s toy, and this is an up-to-date, really modern Batman figure. Does that make sense to you guys? Do you agree with that? I don't know. Do you like the fact that the guitar looks super cartoony and kind of comical? It's awesome. He can allegedly, based off the artwork that we saw, hold the guitar and hold it as if he's playing it. Now, I think the downside to this is it's made of a super soft, pliable rubber. Like, it's really bendy. I wish it was much more firm, but if we bring his arm in front, sort of in this kind of power stance, maybe we can get him to look like he's playing the guitar, kind of. I'm sure if we worked on that a bit more, we could get it a little bit better, right? I would have liked some different hands to maybe accommodate the guitar better, perhaps. But the fact that this guitar is sort of so rubbery, I feel like if you pose him with this in this position, like long term, you can see already, like, there's a curve in it here where the weight of the guitar is all being held in one hand. I can't get a good pose on it right now, but I'm sure you must be able to, because the artwork says you can, right? So in the art, but even in the artwork, you can see the guitar's a bit bent. So I'm thinking I will probably, I don't know, I might go, if I can get it in this hand, maybe. It won't hold it in that hand, but I was sort of thinking maybe a over the shoulder type vibe for holding the guitar, you know? But I wish the scythe was facing the other way, because if you turn it around, the back of the guitar is so plain, you know. Ideally, he would hold it kind of like this over his shoulder, and it would look pretty cool, right? So I was messing about with it for ages. It's really hard to do due to the fact that he can only grip the guitar kind of like a fret, like he's fretting it. He can't really hold it the other way, like the fret's too wide to fit in his hand the other way around, so it's hard to get a good angle on it. I don't know how I'm going to pose him yet. but maybe something like that, you know. But when you put them side by side, look at that. For a pair of action figures, McFarlane Toys, I love you for some of the stuff you do. I just wish you didn't mainly make DC stuff, right? I know they don't mainly make DC stuff. They make all kinds of things, but I do wish that we could get some other cool figures. And finally, the last thing you get is some Build-A-Figure parts for Darkfather, and that makes me want to buy the other two in the wave, which are Wonder Woman and Superman, purely just to finish. Now I've got this far, like I've got the torso and the legs. Maybe I'm gonna have to finish it off. I'm not so interested in those figures as I am the Batman and the Robin King, but I feel like now I've come this far, I might as well finish it off and get all four, and they would look cool in a row, all posed together on a shelf, right? So maybe I'll do that. Maybe there'll be another video coming up soon. Let me know what you think. Are these the coolest action figures ever? Leave a comment. And once you're done here, watch another one of my videos. It's right there. You can check it out. It's cool, I promise.